tuned in for the first time, I did an introduction of our platform. We are working on a career platform bridging the two countries, Germany and Kenya, and also extending to other East African countries.
Oh, there she is. There, no, giving up. Yay!
Sorry.
Don't worry. How are you?
Okay, very well.
Maybe you need to, let me see if I can move I position myself so that I am in the middle. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can see you. I can hear you.
Yeah. Congratulations, one more. You have made us so proud. I saw this story last week and I was so moved. Actually, I shed a tear of joy because of what you have achieved. I hope I will not cry today because your story really moved me. I know so many people want to give up, and especially when you have all the resources, you just feel overwhelmed. But I realized when you do not have the resources, you don't give up. You have another drive that pushes you and tells you, don't give up. And I think you're one of them. And I won't talk more because I might just start crying. I will do I'll hand over the introduction to you. And before I do that, for the ones who have joined in, my name is Caroline Mwangi, and I'm the founder of the KGCN. We call ourselves Kenyan Germany Career and Entrepreneurship Network. It is a platform that bridges the two communities, covering career and entrepreneurship opportunities. We have a lot of exchange programs. We have students coming from Kenyan universities coming to universities here. We have also Kenyan startups based in Kenya who have also benefited from several German funded programs, and they come over here. So we cover a lot of such opportunities. So like our page, share our page, and we're also on YouTube. So once we finish this video, we will also upload it on YouTube. So go there and subscribe and share the information, because I believe information is the key to success, or to many things. Without information, you're lost. And I'm so excited to have Dr. Purity. Allow me to call you Dr. Purity because I am so proud, and you deserve that. And I'll hand over the microphone to you. You do the introduction, tell us who you are, and then now we can go to your career background.
Thank you for the invite. My name is Purity Ngina. I'm a biomathematician. I do epidemiological modeling and mainly on HIV. I grew up in Nyeri County here in Kenya, but now I stay and I live in Nairobi, where I'm doing lecturing at Strathmore University.
So why did you pursue your PhD in biomathematics? I mean, maths is not very feminine. What drove you to get into that?
Let me first say, growing up, I loved maths, and I did my bachelor's in education science, and I did maths and chemistry. But when I was in the university, I fell in love with maths. It's a very interesting subject, beautiful in a way, quite amazing. Of course, some people will have the attitude that is a bit difficult and so on, and what have you. But for me, I loved it, and I think my lecturers also delivered. So when I was in the university doing my first degree, I had to do more extra units for mathematics so that I can do my master's in maths. For master's, I did applied maths, and mainly I was doing fluid mechanics. So I was applying maths in things related to waves. I actually did a research on wave exciting forces. And then when I finished my master's, I came to Strathmore, and there were many projects that you could have chosen. But for me, I fell in love with biomaths, and for many reasons. And one is because of the application, because it is application of maths in biological processes. You can apply maths in ecology, you can apply maths in epidemiology like me. And here what we do is you do modeling of various infectious diseases. And there were many diseases to choose from, but then I said, which is this disease that affect everyone. Even if you're not infected, you're affected. Of course, there's cancer, malaria, and what have you. But HIV for me seems like a subject and a disease that we really need to understand the dynamics so that we can find a solution for our own and for our people. And that is why I did biomaths. And I took 2 months, 2 years, 2 months or something like that. And you might think that is a very short time, but the work I did is basically for like 10 years or something, because first I fell in love with the subject and this disease, and I wanted to really get a solution. And me, I'm this student who really want to get to the end. So every time I'm like, I need to get to the end point. I need to see where this is going. And that's really drove me. And the fact that HIV is a problem that affects everyone, even if you don't have it. You have friends, you have families, you have relatives. So it is something that really can really help this country. So biomaths is a very good branch because it solves problems that affect everyone. You don't have to take HIV, you can take cancer. It's a disease that is also affecting most of us. So that's it. That's why I chose biomaths, and I really want to continue doing this research. Of course, the fact that I'm done with PhD is actually now is the time I'm starting research, a serious research. We want to form a group of modelers so that we can really work with others and see where we're going to get, whether we're going to get the solution, and so that all the outcomes or the results we get can be used by those who are in the medical field to bring in controls or the drugs, or also those who are in those who bring in laws. They can use our outcomes to really bring in solutions to this problem.
Oh, wow. Well, I honestly, I did maths in high school, and our maths teacher, well, I don't know, but maybe he never really inspired us. And when I came to Germany, I had to do a pre-university course, and one of my subjects was maths, and I was in shock because I was doing maths in German. And I never ever thought that I would understand what he was saying. But believe you me, I decided one thing, I have to master this subject. And I borrowed so many books. And do you know, I got even better grades doing maths in German than in English. But because I had another drive, I was motivated. And this is now the question I want to throw to you. You said you loved maths from a young age. What motivated you? Who inspired you? Who was your role model? Because I think you grew up in that environment where you were looking up maybe to somebody who fascinated you in maths.
First, let me say, growing up, especially when you grow in the villages, the only thing that will inspire you is when you want a good life for yourself and for your family. And that is one thing that drove me. I'm this person who really envy people who are better than me. And I envy them and I want to be like them. Of course, I can't be them, but I want to do things that can push me up. So, of course, my mom was my greatest person that I really looked upon. But you see now, for her, I was just a motherly love, a person who could really support me. But, of course, when I went to high school, I had this maths teacher. I used to just admire the way they would deliver the subject in a way that you feel, it was so easy for me to just understand and learn more. Also, when I went to the university, I liked my maths lecturer. There was Dr. Gadia who was teaching me numerical analysis. I admired her. She was a lady. She was a doctor. She really knew the subject. And when I came to do my PhD, I met my supervisor, who is Dr. Rachel Mbogo. She's a lady whom, of course, when you meet, you really would want to be like her. She really understands the concept, and she really wants to build you. So again, having people like that whom you can really look up to, who are ready to help you, I think it has helped me. But I think sometimes, as much as we say it is this person who helped me, as a person, you must make a deliberate decision to do this thing. I mean, you can be inspired, like maybe you're inspired by Bill Gates, but you have to be, these are people we look up to. They are mentors in a way. You admire them. But then you have to make a deliberate decision to do what it has to take for you to get there. It has to be a personal decision. It's not just because you're looking up to, like now people will tell me, hey, you inspire me. Of course, I want that everything I do is morally and it will add value to someone. And this person will look at me and say, oh, I would want to be. But you see, this person has to make a decision to be like me. If it is in academia, it means you have to work hard. If it is in business, you have to do what business people do, yeah.
So you have been very passionate in what you're doing, and that is what has led to this success.
I really love maths. If you come to my place, I'll give you papers. We read just about HIV. And I think this, for me, I think for my PhD, I have really fallen in love with the topic. Like when you read things and you're like, you see, this is a disease that everyone knows about, but there's so many things you don't know. How does it affect the cells? How do the cell interact with it? And then you bring in maths, in a special way. You're talking about how do these cells reduce, that is rate of change, which is maths. I think the attitude also really matters in whatever you do. And someone just told me another day that I was saying, for me, I worked hard, and like he mentioned, the only thing you don't work for hard, like you can rest and be sure you'll get it, is old age. Anything else in this life, you have to work hard for it. Lakini kuzeeka, I mean, you can, I mean, even if you sit down, you still add one more year next year and another, So you have to really, we all need to work hard. But again, as much as we work hard, most of us are very bright. In Africa, we have bright students. In Kenya, we have bright students. But the background where they come from is very humble. The parents cannot afford to really sponsor them. And that's why most of them just drop out of school. Sometimes you have school fees issues, other times is even feeding problem, So again, I believe most students and most of us are very, very bright. We have all the potential. As much as I call myself the youngest biomathematician, I believe the others probably would have gotten to where I am, but they didn't get the opportunity. So for me, I've been lucky. I have gotten so much support from the community where I come from the CDF, from the scholarship I got from my previous university, that is Egerton, and also the one that I got from the DAAD. So I get a lot of support because most of us are very poor. I mean, education is an investment that is quite expensive, and if you don't have the resources, of course, there's nothing much you can do. So I believe if people can get support in terms of monetary value, in terms of people also to talk to them, and people who have goodwill to ensure that if you get into the system, they really want to see you to the end of it.
I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying. And we did a live video last week on Friday with a Kenyan guy who is based in the UK, and he has an education fund. He's going back to the villages and identifying those candidates who scored A and helping them to go to high school, and eventually hoping that they'll also get scholarships to study. And what you say, the financial aspect has been a challenge for many people back home. But I also believe, as much as it is still there, I think also having somebody to model you, like now what you're doing exactly plays a big role. Because like sometimes I speak to students and I tell them, look, you can apply for help back home. They're like, no, that is too complicated. You see, alone, this the mindset. They don't want to take that step and try it out. Or maybe, as you said, they grew up in this very, poor environment, such that they don't have hope that they can get such opportunities. Yeah. So I think you need a combination of both. You need someone to inspire you, like what you're doing. You need the passion, and of course, you need to channel it to finances. And one of the also aims that why I'm doing these live videos is also to reach out to the government. For example, the Kenyan government, to put education as a priority, because I personally believe education is the key thing. And if these policymakers can consider those students who are very, very, they're very bright, but they lack this financial support, I think we can be in a very good position, because we lose many, as you say, we lose many young PhD in biomathematicians who would have made it, but they gave up a long time ago because of finances. But nevertheless, we should not give up. We have information, we share the information, we share the scholarships, and we have you on board, so we are doing the right thing. So back to HIV modeling. I want to get a bit technical. I want to understand,
Okay.
so how are this modeling you're talking about going to help to bring cure to cancer? Or what kind of solutions are you looking for?
Okay, let me first talk about my research. What I was trying to see is how the best drug, because there are so many in the market, and all of them perform different roles. We have fusion inhibitors that try to ensure that the virus doesn't get to the cell. We have reverse transcriptase inhibitors try to ensure that the virus is not reverse transcribed, because HIV is an RNA and it has to be changed to DNA for it to make food and to multiply. Then we have protease inhibitors that ensure that the virons that now have been, they've been made, they have gone through the reverse transcriptive process, they have been reverse transcribed, they have been, they are kind of almost mature, but they are not mature in a way that when they are released in the system, those long, we call them long protein chains, they don't break into small, complete, mature virions. And so the ones that will be released are defectives. So I was trying to analyze among these three drugs, which is the most effective. And if it is the most effective, of course, it can be effective in terms of it is going to control the number of virions. But what about the side effects? Because it comes with a lot of side effects. There's a lot of monetary again in terms of cost. So we are bringing in all these things at one table and analyzing among these drugs in terms of side effects, which drug has the least in terms of the cost, in terms of the time where you can take a drug, maybe will you take a drug for 1 year, for 2 years, and so on. And we did all that analysis mathematically. I used optimal control. I was optimizing, and I used a method called Portridge's principle. This is a person who really brought this method of optimal control in 1987. It's an old kind of way, but it is the best for now. And I realized that the best for me was protease inhibitor. And why I would say I really understand and I really fell in love with the fact that my results agree with what for sure we'd expect. Because as much as we're saying this is a drug that leads to maturity, of course, if they mature, there'll be more. And the more they produce, the more they infect other cells. But then again, we need now, what I want to do now, of course, now that is done, I've gotten the good results that agree even with what the National Council and also World Health Organization are saying that if you get HIV now, you need to start treatment, irrespective of your CD4 cells. In Kenya, they called it the Answer Sasa campaign that has been going on. It is test and treat. And my results just showed that if you treat a person, irrespective of the CD4 cell, the life expectancy will be higher. And this person will not have all these opportunistic infections that come along with the HIV virus. And then again, of course, you'll save a lot of money because this person will not be sick. So there's a lot of financial gain in terms of if you start giving this person drugs immediately he's tested that is positive. Again, the results also suggest that protease inhibitor is the best control, but we want to do bang control now. Bang is when you put the drug, you switch, you put again, because of course we realize that HIV drugs are given. You take one line, after some time you'll take another line, after some time you'll take another line. So we can now I was just using optimal control, but now I need to use bang control, where you switch, you put in, you switch, you put another one, you switch. Of course, that sounds a bit technical in a way, but that's the beauty of math. But let me say how this kind of modeling is going to help, whether it is HIV, whether it is cancer. Of course, you don't expect that some of these drugs that we have in the market, they cannot be tested using people. You have sometimes, because of the complications, you cannot just bring in a drug. So we believe that mathematical modeling will be a solution to some of this, because if you model, I model a disease and I put in controls or what you call drugs, and I realize this agrees with what is in the market. It means that I can use mathematical model with another probably disease that is coming on, rather than testing this kind of drugs using humans or animals. If you're those people who really value animals, there are people who fight where animals are killed or something like that. So of course, with time, those people activists will come a time where you not have to test drugs using mice and whatever. So we're trying to push the agenda that maths and modeling diseases using mathematical model is better. It is accurate, depending on how you find your results and compare to what is happening, and it can be used even in future to solve problems that will come, because we in a world that is changing. Let me give you a story. I hope it will not take long. When I went to Germany, I was told that now in Africa, probably, and sub-Saharan Africa, we are talking about HIV, and we are talking about some of these malaria and so on. But for them, is many people have taken antibiotics, and people now are becoming resistant. So that is the big, yes. People are going to the theater. I love you given the what are they called? That one. Yeah, the one that makes you to sleep and not to feel pain.
Yeah, this. I know the English word. Yeah. So
I love the fact that okay, so and they take long because now it is an antibiotic and the body has already developed resistance. So that no, this is where my professor was telling me, this is where now you need to come in and use your modeling to help us solve this problem. So he appreciated the fact that maths can solve such problem rather than using animal human models, and because of course of the many complications that will come about. So that you realize this is the answer to most of the problems you have, because most of the time when you tell people I'm doing maths, they'll ask you, how will this maths help me? They can't see the future, or they can't predict the solutions to their problem are being brought about by the fact that you studied mathematics, which of course is we need really to appreciate what maths can do for us, for our country, even for Kenya. Like now, everyone is talking about universal health, the big four agenda. I know you have read about the government plan. The big four agenda, one is universal health, talk about food security, talk about manufacturing, talk about affordable housing. All these things, if you want to bring in universal health, this is what we are doing. We are researching on various diseases, infection, HIV, cancer, TB, and so on. And the solutions or the answers we get or the outcomes are the ones that will really advise the government on the right action they need to take. If you talk about food security, you need a mathematician. Even if it is a statistician. And let me tell you, for you to be a biomath, you have to be a mathematician. You have to read about medic work, like you read more about, now I can tell you about how HIV affects the body, which cells, and so on. I'm not a doctor. In terms of medic, I'm not a practicing doctor or something like that, but you read more. You have to be a statistician because you need to put this mathematical kind of whatever differentials in a system where the computer now understand and can give you results. So I mean, it is a broad subject that is going to help even the government. I've mentioned about universal health, food security. You need a mathematician. You want affordable housing. How will you get affordable housing if you don't have maths people who will help you get to understand and put all this? Because you'll get a large data. You need someone to analyze, and this is a person. A biomath can do all these things. A biomathematician, and also I respect also statistician and other lines of maths, because they are quite many.
Oh, I think you've given me another picture of maths, which I really didn't know about this modeling. I know the financial modeling, the futures and the options, and you know that direction. But I never having now like in medical field this kind of modeling, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And because as you said, the side effects, like dealing with the human, testing on the human being or on the mice or the animals, is of course we can save on that and test now with the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 0. So one more question. We have a lot of counterfeit drugs in the market. So do these models, these mathematical models, help to fight against these counterfeit drugs?
I think it would really depend on the line you are taking. Of course, there are people who really study drug by drug. You see, for me, if I tell you reverse transcriptive inhibitor, it has so many drugs, but they have that active ingredient which try to really control the reverse transcription process. Let me call it like that. But then it will depend probably if you're analyzing drug by drug. You'll take this ABZ, this kind of drug and this one. Then you analyze which is the best, and again you check whether this is the original, this is generic, and this is, there are quite many, and then you see which of course will bring in the best kind of results. So I think, because I'm not done that, I think it would still really help us to get the best, because if you have the original generic and you find the results really differ and the original is the best, you analyze now that in terms of course money comes in. You have to analyze the cost of this, the cost of this, before you make for sure a conclusion that this is the best. Because you see, for countries in Africa, and most of the people who have HIV or many infections for sure belong to sub-Sahara. You have to consider things that are related to finances, because you don't want also the government to spend 100% of the money they get from our tax, or the sponsors, the money they get from donors on one area. Of course, there are many areas that need to be addressed. So that's why you have to really do a lot of consideration before you make a conclusion.
Okay, I understand. So let's go back now to your success story. I mean, everywhere on the news, everywhere, Citizen, Nation, Business Daily, everyone talking about Dr. Ngina got her PhD at 28. So how did you manage to achieve this success? Maybe 2-3 things.
Let me say first, this is a dream that I never thought it is valid. These are things you do and you just say, may God really take control. Because of course, growing up in the village, having scored 235, I know if you have read, you have seen that. Again, repeating, getting 369, joining the university. But then when I got a B+ in high school, I think I started to realize I have potentials. I can do better if only I really push myself. First, what I have known in this line of academia, you really have to sacrifice many things, a lot of things. Because I mean, you can't be everywhere and you still want to be a better student, to be a better performer. So I think there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make. And these sacrifices entails the things that people your age are doing. I think for me, I've realized there are many things I've not done that I really feel like I wish. But of course, now looking the fact that I've achieved this, I feel, okay, it was worth a sacrifice. So you need to really work hard. The other thing is that you really have to hate. I don't know. I hate failing. That's me. Like, if I really fail, maybe I'm doing a question and I don't get an answer, I can't sleep without finishing it. I'm this person who really value success. And success, for me, I define it in my own terms. You see, most of the time, I actually, before I finish, like someone asked me, can you say you are successful? And can you say education is the key to success? And this person, for him, he looked at me. I have nothing for sure in terms of what people call success, because success, in most people define success in terms of what car are you driving, where do you live, most of those things we don't have. But then again, we can say in a way we have achieved something, because it is what you really purposed to get. So again, for me, I feel motivation, envying people, not in a bad way, wanting to be like, yeah, to really push yourself so that you get somewhere. If you envy someone, doesn't mean you become like them. It makes you to become a better version of yourself. And for me, I've really believed nothing is impossible. This person, I know when I was joining my master's, my mom didn't have the cash, because Egerton, you don't get the scholarship immediately. You have to come, then they give you the scholarship. So I didn't expect to really do it. And my mom, when she told her friends, hey, it is 370, I think we were paying 370, people didn't really see me getting there. But I don't listen to negative voices. Me, I'm this person, even if you say something negative, I just brush it off. I don't value negativity. I really value positivity. And that is one thing. As young people, sometimes people really will talk negative things up, will never tell you you're going to achieve, but don't listen to those voices because they can really pull you down. And you need to always focus. So the three things: focus, don't listen to negativity, work hard. The only thing you get without working hard is old age. Anything else in this life, you have to work hard for it.
I fully agree. I have a friend we used to study together, and she did law in Germany. And law is one of the toughest subjects to study
I
here
can
because
imagine. Yeah.
you do it in law, and this law, you do it in German, and this German is not just a normal German, it's very complicated.
Mm.
And she told me one thing, I believe when someone tells her this is impossible, she believes it is possible. And one day she came and told me she wants to go to Japan for an exchange program. I asked her, what? You want to go to Japan? Where do you get the money from? She told me exactly that. I will find the money and I'll find someone who will pay for my air ticket and who will pay for my upkeep there, and I'll go there for 6 months. And then the other challenge was the university told her these programs are only for the European Union students. So Kenya does not belong to the European Union students. So again, someone said this is not possible for you. So she went back home. She checked she checked in those requirements, and she came back to this guy and told him, look, I did not find anywhere stated that I cannot go to Japan. So this guy said, oh, he was shocked, and he said, you are the first one out of the European Union to go for this program. Do you believe me? She's a lawyer, a very happy lawyer right now, and she believes nothing is impossible, just like what you said. I think we need to have this in us. Whatever you're doing, however small or big it is, just believe it should work. It should work. Yeah, it should work. Yeah. And compare, I mean, checking out your background. I don't want to go back, don't want to go deep into your background because I like featuring on what is current now, not where you have come from, because you have managed, you have succeeded, and, you want to make things better for the generations to come. And that is all what you're aiming at. Maybe when we talk that later on, you came to Germany for 6 months, right? So how was your experience when you came here? You were at the university in Cottbus, right?
Cottbus, yes.
Okay, so how did you come to Germany, and what was your experience?
For me let me first start when I started my PhD, I was sponsored by the German DAAD. I think it's a German word, but I think it's German Exchange Program, something like that. So they sponsored me for my scholarship. This was an in-region scholarship. That means the only thing is that they could sponsor me to go to Germany for a minimum of 2 months and a maximum of 6 months. So when I applied, I got it. But the application is not easy. First, because you have to really look for a host, a supervisor, a person who you have never seen. You go online, check, and sending emails, sending your CV. Can you host me? Can you work with me for 6 months? I'm being sponsored, and so on. And I was lucky that I got Professor Almin Fuganshu who agreed to actually host me and work with me. So my experience was, yet I was shocked. First, rather than the language, the country has really grown in terms of education, and something that I really liked, they have all these resources. And people there, I think they work extra hard, very quiet, maybe because I came during winter, but people really have this desire to, because for me, I was dealing with the people who were doing masters and PhD, we in the same offices. I could see the desire that they have to learn more, the hunger of knowledge, which I don't know whether all of us have, especially in Africa. The people who really want to become better versions of themselves. I was actually shocked to learn that there, if you don't work, the government will give you food, pay you house rent, give you health insurance, something like that. I don't know if it is introduced here in Kenya, whether anyone will go to school. Everyone would be like, The government will do all those things. But then it really taught me something, that for us to get somewhere, because I think economic-wise, Germany is number 4. We
Yeah.
have US, China, Japan, and Germany. For us to get somewhere, we must teach this generation to learn to work for ourselves and to just have this hunger of getting to know more things and learning better things, interacting with people. These people would ask you questions. They ask because they want to get what you know, and for them to see what they know, whether it is what they know, and then they apply. And sometimes I was so scared whether they're going to take my ideas, because they'd ask, they really used to ask questions, and they listen, and they look you direct to your face. So it's something I like. It really taught me a lot. Of course, again, I realized there are people who really, I think, moral and our values and because those people, as much as I think they really fear policemen, they just do what is right, So for me, it was a good experience. It opened my eyes better. Also, the fact that I couldn't get a house without health insurance, I couldn't open an account without a house. Actually, I couldn't even I couldn't even be registered by the mayor without a house. Some of those things. Like now, if we want to achieve universal health, I'm not saying that the government should impose such measures to Kenyans, but we need to think of those lines. Yeah, those are the people go there to benchmark. So some of these things are things that we really need to see whether they can help us in a way. But something also I learned, people keep on saying that Kenyan education is useless. I've heard that. And that is not true. I am going to say this without any fear of contradiction. That is not, because I went and I actually attended some few classes. And you could see the things, probably the way they were delivered might be different, but the content is the same. Because if I'm going there presenting my work and these people even learn and they're telling me, hey, there's a professor also working on this area, you need to meet him, they really, they see whatever you're doing is something they can buy the idea. If the education was useless, I would be nothing if I visit such countries. I feel we really need to tell our generation that the education in Kenya has some weight. Probably is we need to push ourselves better and get more resources, because I think the application part is what we really lack. We know the theory, then how to apply and these resources. You see, when I went there, surprisingly, the first thing I was given was an office, a laptop, a desktop, another screen. You have a desktop and a screen so that you can use 2 screens. Such resources probably in Kenya we don't have, and that's how that's where we really need to really invest. Education, such resources need to be, and also lecturers and teachers.
Well, I totally agree, but I think like what you said about Germans, they listen to the law. When they go to the office, they deliver, they don't talk on the phone. These are things they really learn at a very early age. Yeah, so you find like the way we grew up, we were not taught some of these things, and we never really, no one really bothered to teach us about like littering, don't throw the bins, crossing the streets. So you find even here, people grow up knowing from a young age to an older age. So I think that is what now maybe we're getting there, and teaching the young right in school, teaching people these morals, like showing people that this is a corruption-free country, for example, going to schools and teaching such kind of things. Yeah, you have to do your things straight, and these are things that they learn from a very early age in school. So anyway, but we hope that we'll get there one day, and we
I hope so. But something else,
that,
sorry to interrupt, there's also something else I learned. When I went to the supermarkets, I would find students are the ones selling. In Kenya, mtu akisoma, we don't want to do those jobs. You call them dirty jobs. But in Germany, any job is a job. People just want to make something. They want to feed themselves. They need to pay their rent. They need to have insurance. even I mean those university students, of course, probably in the university there, I think education is free. You just pay something small, but they really want to get something for themselves. And something I liked, the fact that you'll find them in the construction sites, you'll find them in hotels, are the ones serving you, you'll find them in supermarket arranging stuff. And these are university students, and they feel I need to provide for myself. That's something. Is a culture that we need to buy, because most of us, when you go to school, even you have just finished Form 4, you'll hear someone saying, me, I can't do that. And I'm like, really? Why not? If this something is bringing something to the table, it is making the economy to grow, irrespective how small it is. I think it is important for everyone to not to have this kind of feeling that there are jobs that are supposed to be done by others, and this one is supposed to be. I think that is something I really like, that you can do anything if you're getting something to really help you grow. It's also something I read.
No, that is also a mindset thing. And I think also, when you lack this exposure, you never see that people do things different. Because like when I came here also, I was very shocked to see, like I was hosted by a German family. I could see my host father cleaning the house. My dad would never clean the house. I was very shocked. But this exposure helps you to see how you do things better. And I'm sure like now for the generations to come, or for your kids, you would do things now different. You would tell them, look, you can do all those jobs, nothing will happen to you. So it's all a matter of exposure and also the upbringing. And I think we are getting there with all these exchange programs happening there, and also even these live videos. I'm sure there's a parent out there who is listening, who has heard this is the way things are done in Germany. So I'm sure they will now go back with a different mindset altogether. Yeah. Okay. So of course you compared the German system and the Kenyan system, and I believe totally in Africa, regardless of the few resources that we have, I still believe there's a lot of potential. There are so many things you can achieve. What kind of opportunities are there which you can highlight, especially at the current universities in Kenya?
What kind of opportunities are there for?
For
Sorry, I didn't
schools
get that
or for
word.
the academic sector, because most people, they always see Africa like we have problems. Just hold on a minute. I need to